I believe something that happens to everyone is that they eventually come to realize all of their faults as a human being. And for me, when this realization hit, and after going to therapy and learning that most of these faults are a product of my childhood, I started to blame my parents for all of these. Which I guess, in a sense that that's pretty valid. I mean, I got most of these faults, depending on how they acted when I was a child, but I don't have to hate them for that. I think a lot of people forget that parents are human, in the same way that you have faults, your parents have faults too. We like to think of our parents as, fucking superhumans, or we like to think that they can do everything for us when we're younger, or solve all of our problems, or have all of our emotional situations with a solved answer that will just completely wish away all of our problems. But that's not the case. I think people really do forget that their parents are human. Um, and you don't need to hate them for their faults. I understand that, you know, maybe a lot of negative traits of yours could have been caused by that. For example, I am and have been an extremely insecure man. And I've found that a lot of times in my life, I really, tried to prove it to other people that, like I am a man. Because I didn't really have a father figure in my life to kind of show me the ropes and really just make me understand morality and the morality of like being a decent human being and being a decent man. When I went to therapy, for the first few times when I was about 21, I would say this was like a huge turning point for my, my wholesome arc, my no villains arc, my like appreciating life and being a better person kind of situation. I came to realize like I do have a lot of fucking faults, and I was able to, while talking with my therapist, kind of, take a step backwards and really understand where all of these came from. And I would say like 90% of them were from my experience with my parents. Extremely insecure male, extremely insecure in social situations. I can give you a little bit of background here. My mother and father split up when I was about 10 years old. I'd moved to a different location from a big city, and my dad stayed behind in that big city, and I moved in with my mom in this new town. It was a very, very small town. Like our population's about 10,000. The school I went to, though, my high school, let alone at like not even 700 people. Like that's a little absurd. This is so beautiful. Look how cool this cave is. I like this light shining in. This is so cool. When I was younger, and when we moved into this new place, obviously, my mother has 3 children. I have 2 siblings, and she's now a single parent raising 3 kids. So of course she has to get a job. And she comes from being not a stay-at-home mom completely, but like a part-time mom. I'd say full-time mom, part-time job. And she'd probably work like 20 hours a week, but it was when we were at school and stuff like that. So, and she'd have weekends off. So to me, she was a full-time mom. Saw her all the time, anytime I could. But then when we moved up to the new town, she doesn't have a degree or anything. So her capabilities of finding and getting a job that she wanted were pretty low. I guess more specifically, a job that would suit her needs entirely. And that resulted in me and my siblings now having an absent father with a mom who's working all the time. God, this is so cool. And that kind of turned into a situation where, me and my siblings weren't exactly raised socially by my parents, I would say. Now, of course, don't get me wrong. Like, my mom did raise me. Don't get me wrong. And she obviously would have like weekends off and stuff, but it just was not the same. I felt myself just being consumed by the internet. Like, no matter what I did, like, I was consumed by it. I loved to watch content. I loved to consume content. I loved to make videos. I couldn't make friends in person really, so I made a lot of my friends obviously online. So like, let's lay this out. All my social interactions are online. Everything I'm learning, like, I don't really feel like I have a father figure in my life, so everything I can learn about being a guy or being a man is literally from like internet sources. And you know, this is like earlier internet where it's still super useful, but like the best results you're gonna get are like searching up like, hey, I like this girl, how should I talk to her? And then you put Reddit after on the Google search, and you gotta go to Reddit to find some shit. Don't mean to discredit Reddit, but you know what I mean. Like, it's not the best source of information, especially for a young teenager to discover answers. Like, it should be from a parent, but like, I honestly feel like my parent was the internet. So it was kind of like a learn as you go. Like, can't really, like, I didn't feel like I learned a single thing from my father. I don't feel like as much as I love him, and I do see him occasionally, like I'd say every few months, I don't feel like I learned a single thing from him except for being a closeted individual. It just, I don't know, it kind of sucks, and it makes me sad. And I wish that, you know, I wish I could have had a better father figure in my life. I remember hanging out with friends or going over to their house and just even seeing these interactions they would have with their father, and like in the smallest fashions. You know, like you're a kid hanging out at your friend's house. Like, obviously they're not gonna, you know, you're gonna hang around their dad all the time, but it's like those small interactions of like passing them by, or they're coming in to be like, yo, dinner's ready type shit. And you know, just anything, just them talking, just anything like that was literally, I felt like, where I learned all of my male interactions from. I don't feel like I had a father figure outside of my, you know, outside of my dad, and my dad wasn't even really my father figure. And talking to my therapist, I realized like this led to so many insecurities, like not having a predominant father, and then also my mother, you know, working. Oh my God, hell no. My mom working a lot, and this led to me and my siblings being very alone. But this led to us being very alone, and I don't feel like we learned anything in terms of social interactions. We were not pushed to do things. If we wanted to quit, I don't feel like there was much push to keep us into things. Like, I quit sports in 8th grade, and to this day, I wish I still played sports in high school. I would have absolutely loved it. And it would have forced some more social interactions on me. I know that my sister stopped playing sports in about like 7th grade because of bullying and switched schools, and I feel really bad for her because I noticed a lot of social insecurity, and I feel like that would have been remedied by having, you know, more supportive parents, and just, I guess, a more solid family dynamic. And, you know, talking to my therapist, I kind of realized a lot of my problems stemmed from those simple situation, you know, this interesting family dynamic I had. When I'm around people in social situations, I always have this insane anxiety, unless they are like my best friend. Even sometimes with my best friends, I still slightly feel it in person. It's so unfortunate. On the internet, I noticed that, and communicated with my therapist, like, I don't feel this anxiety in the slightest. Like, it does not exist. Like, when I'm talking to somebody on the phone or through Discord, or back in the day it was Skype, I don't feel that, you know, that anxiety. And I think that's due to the fact that I really can read like the tone of a voice and understand how someone's feeling, just because of all the experience I had with online social interaction, because that's, you know, what I actively sought out when I was younger. But I wasn't pushed to have that physical social interaction when I was younger, so I can't really read body language sometimes. You know, like if I'm cracking a joke or something, I cannot fucking tell sometimes if someone like really enjoys it unless they audibly laugh. Like, something that I am guilty of is that I am a guy who laughs all the time. Like, at anything. Like, if you crack a joke and it doesn't even make sense, I am going to giggle just because like I want you to feel better, because I have empathy that even if you make a joke and it's not that funny. And I'd always have this thing, I don't really know how to read body language, and it was just, I don't know, just it was always massively embarrassing. I always wanted to be included by my friends, but I just couldn't do it. Social interactions were just a fucking nightmare. Like, I remember one time I really just needed to go to the store for something during COVID, and I just had such crippling social anxiety that I literally feel like I put it off for a big fella. I literally put it off for like what felt like fucking a month. Like, it was absurd. Like, just going to the store was the most impossible task in the world for me. I just couldn't even fucking manage it. And it just, the thing that like brings you down when something like that is happening is it's like, it degrades your self-worth. Like, it's hurtful to myself that I feel like I would put myself through that. Like, oh my God, you can't even do this much. Like, come on, man. Like, you can't even go to the store and buy something that you need because you were too scared of the social interaction. When you're going to the store, my friend, like, you are going to the store, and I say it again, like, it's a store where you buy stuff. I think that looks pretty nice. I even feel like, I could go to the store and buy something. Or I would feel just like this insane, massive anxiety when hanging out with friends. Hanging out with friends is supposed to be a positive and joyful experience. And for me, it was a stressful one, to the point where like people would invite me out and I just wouldn't even want to hang out with them, because it's like, oh, I don't even want to have to face the anxiety of, we're all hanging out, we're all chilling, we're watching something, we're talking about old memories, and I don't remember it, or it's a memory that they've had but I haven't, or like I crack a joke and no one laughs. Like, those situations were so fucking crippling to me that if they happened when we were all hanging out, the rest of the night I was psychoanalyzing and trying to understand their body language and trying to cultivate a personality that wasn't me. It would be like, instead of just being myself and being funny, I would try to cultivate a personality that I thought the people around me would appreciate and would like more. It's like, how do I get these people to enjoy my presence more? And it was just sad, because it's like, God, I don't know. Here, let me take my armor off. It's just sad, because it's like, that's supposed to be a joyful situation with your friends. And as well as, another thing that I'm going to open up about right now on this channel, it's breaking news. I just didn't treat women with enough respect when I was in high school and college. I kind of treated them like a trophy, and it was kind of seen as like a form of like masculine expression. Like, all my friends were talking about like, oh bro, like, you gotta like kiss this girl, you gotta like, oh God, she's so hot, like I want to get with her so bad. And instead of like actually treating myself with respect and treating them with respect, and instead of like trying to get to know them, I would pursue them as like a pursuit, like, instead of like, I want to get to know this person, I want to understand this person more, and a more innocent type of, like, just adolescent experience. It was like polluted by adult thoughts, because I wanted to impress my friends, and I wanted to fit in. And I didn't have, a father figure to tell me like, that's not fucking cool. It's not fucking okay. Like, oh man. Like, how I wish I could go back in time and be that guy for myself, to like just sit, like just one sit down, man. Like, I was begging for just one sit down to just sit me down, and just I can like kind of like for a father figure to just sit down with me and outline the basics of life. Like, can you believe that? That's absurd. But you know what I mean? I don't know if many people really connect with me on this one because I know it's not like a big thing that people partake in, and like when they're younger. Like guys, I fucking lost my virginity when I was 13 years old. I started like jacking off when I was 11. Like, that is fucked up. And I just, I had a motherly figure that just said, oh, that's not okay, you shouldn't be doing that. But it's like, I didn't really take her that seriously because it's like, oh, you're not a guy, you don't get it. Give me a 10 minutes of the guy figure to tell me that's not okay, and I would not have done it. And it's just sad, and it hurts my heart a little bit because I wish I could give little me a hug and tell him like, hey man, it's okay. Like, you don't have to prove your self-worth to anybody, and you especially don't have to prove your self-worth to other people by degrading your own, self-worth and self-respect, and in the process hurt, like, degrade other people possibly, like, because you're not treating them with the utmost respect in that regard, which they should be getting. So like, and it sucks, but that's the reality of it. But with all these faults I have, and with all these minor regrets of like my personality and like who I was when I was younger, I feel like all of those were extremely valid when I was a minor and when I was 18 and maybe 19. But I'm 22 now. There's like a very, very, let me get a little closer. There's like a very beautiful quote that somebody said that ties into the message of this video perfectly. You can blame your parents when you're 18, but you have to blame yourself at 28. I think it's completely valid when you're younger to be upset with your parents, if they're toxic or you don't feel like you were raised right. When you're 28 or my age, 22, like, you've had enough life, like enough life has passed that you can acknowledge these faults and actively work on them. I think it's totally okay to blame your parents at 18 because you've probably just hit that self-realization moment of like, these are my faults and probably caused by, stuff when I was younger, and I'm upset that this is who I am now. But like, as you grow up and as you get older, more time comes on. It's up to you to remedy those faults. For me, like, I feel like I've actively battled that insecurity and social anxiety, and I've completely destroyed it in terms of, like going outside and just like getting shit done, or like actually just running an errand. Like, I don't have that anxiety anymore because I have enough experience now, just because I've done it enough times to feel safe and feel okay with it, because it's not a anxiety inducing situation. And with my friends, for example, like, I would say most of the time with my best friends, I don't feel that anxiety at all. I just don't feel it. And it's a fucking awesome feeling, because hanging out with my fucking buds it's amazing. And I don't feel that anxiety anymore. And it really gives me a lot of solace to, one, hang out with them and feel okay, and two, not have to even think about it. Like, I don't think about on the drive home, like, oh, what I did then, was that embarrassing? Or, was the joke I said funny? I just drive home and I smile because I was myself and they appreciated me for myself. And I was treating myself with respect to even act like that in front of my friends, and treating my friends with respect because, they're obviously good enough people to treat me as me. I do still feel that, those negative feelings with new people, but I've kind of come to realize, like, oh, that's not a major fault of mine. Maybe that's just like, a mechanism that I deal with, because, oh, it's a new person in my life. Maybe I should try to understand them and get to know them. And that anxiety of like, oh, I hope this person likes me. Well, they don't have to like me, but it's honestly, it might be a little good that what is happening right there? Why are you floating like that? It might be a little good that I do feel that way, because then I can understand that person more. And if I psychoanalyze a new person in my life, maybe I, can get to know them better. And so I've kind of tried to steer away from hating this aspect of myself and tried to start appreciating it in that aspect. Because not only now do I have a better time with my friends, I also get to completely understand new people that I meet. And for the other thing I talked about in terms of like treating myself with respect and women with respect, in terms of like, sexual encounters, I feel so much better now about how I treat other people. I do not fucking see women as like things to be objectified at, like, in the fucking slightest. I have a girlfriend and I fucking love her, and she, she's just fucking awesome. Like, other people, like women outside of my life, like I don't even give them I don't even fucking look at them or pay any attention to them. Like, I have my girlfriend and I love her, and I don't know, it's just a great feeling because I don't have that just disgusting teenage lust anymore that is like uncontrollable and that I dive into. I feel like it's something I've completely dealt with and just completely killed, and it just feels so fucking good. I acknowledged these things when I was young and then actively sought out remedies, and I've succeeded. So it's like, I can't even blame my parents anymore because it's like those things are mostly gone, and I will continue to work on those things. So it's up to me, if I have any of those problems by the time I'm 28 or even, within the next few years, like I'm not even going to be like, oh, God damn it, why didn't they raise me better? But rather, what can I do? What can I do to make a change in my life? What can I do to actively like give myself more respect or appreciate appreciate myself more because, I'm deserving of respect. And I think a lot of people think, they have this like they have this idea of like other people should respect me. Like I'm entitled to other people's respect. But then in that same aspect, like, aren't you entitled to your own respect? A lot of people don't give themselves the respect that they deserve. Like treat yourself as someone that needs to be taken care of. Like, why are you degrading yourself so much? Like, appreciate yourself and fucking love yourself and work on yourself every day. Like, don't let past traumas shape you. Just like, you aren't like a smelted clay pot. Like, you can keep molding. Like, you can keep changing who you are. There's so many fucking people say like, oh, you can't, people never change. Like, you're never gonna change. Or like people from your past, like you think they're never gonna change as well. But like, I just find that to be so goddamn false. Everyone is changing all the time. You are a different person than you were when I said different person. You know what I mean? Like, you are a different person than you were 10 minutes ago, yesterday, a year ago. Like, you are so different. And it's up to you to actively work on yourself. So I completely understand being 18 and blaming your parents because you don't have that self-realization yet, and it's up to them to work on you. But then after that, it's up to you to work on you. And a lot of people just aren't, and you should because you deserve it. One last thing I'll leave you off on is your parents aren't superhuman. A lot of people seem to think like our parents are fucking superhuman and just know the answer. They fucking don't. It's like you can blame your parents, but like your parents have their own problems. Like they probably experience the same issues you do because that's probably why you picked them up. Like they have issues too. They don't know exactly how to raise you. They don't know the perfect strategy of like getting a perfect person, raising a perfect child, or like creating the perfect family experience because, like I could be as mad at my mom as I want for not like staying with my dad or something, but wasn't a good relationship. She did the best thing for her. Or getting a job. It's like, well, she needs to make money. So she did what she could. She did everything that she could. And I'm here now. And now it's up to me to create the better version of myself. Another thing that I've never seen anyone talk about on this subject is that we have the fucking internet. I don't think you guys realize our parents didn't have the internet. Like, they did in some capacity when they were older, but they didn't grow up with it. It wasn't like their best friend that they would rely on for like all their answers, or like they could search up, questions about how do I raise my child in this exact scenario. There probably weren't any like results. You could search that up now with like later. You probably could find it on Reddit, like your exact scenario, since we all live like similar lives. But they just didn't. Like, I honestly think there's going to be a huge parenting shift. Like, when we are parents, we grew up with the internet. Like, we have it at our fingertips to create like the best children, or sorry, the best family environment for children possible. Even if we're in like in a bad situation, we still can like turn to the internet and literally like search through psychology, or like ask a therapist, like, how do I do it the best way. You don't even necessarily have to forgive your parents, especially if they were hurtful to you, especially if they were super toxic. You don't have to forgive them. But what, the message of this video is give yourself a chance. Start working on yourself for you. Like, take it. You're the creator of your own happiness. So take it into your own hands and make it fucking happen. Like, you can fucking do it. And if you had good parents and you just have these random faults, then forgive them. Like, I completely forgive my parents for a majority of the things, because it wasn't necessarily out of toxicity. It was just out of, lacking traits or, but yeah, thanks for watching. Reach out to an old friend, reach out to a current friend, tell them you want to hang out, and you know what? Tell your parents you love them. After watching this, you should do that. I think that would be a very good idea. Okay. Actually, 1 second. Sorry, before I leave you off. Here's a video that I really like. Think it'll cheer you up. So. Ah! Come on, boy! Come here, boy! Good job, boy! Good job, man! There you go, high five! Okay, now for real, bye.